What's up, everybody? Welcome to the channel. If you've been here before, welcome back. Glad to have you. So, today we're talking about something that so many people are dealing with. Why it's so hard to find a job, even when you qualify. So, it's not just you. There's a real problem with the way companies are handling recruiting these days. And I want to break it down from both sides because I've seen it from the inside. Let's start with this. A lot of companies now outsource recruiting to save money. Instead of hiring full time HR staff, they use external recruiters or staffing agencies. Again, this saves them money because now they don't have to pay a recruiter a full time salary or even a part time salary when recruiting isn't needed on payroll the entire time, basically. It's just cheaper to just quickly hire an external agency or external recruiters to pay them to get the job done. And once the job is done, that is it, instead of keeping somebody on their books full time. So basically, once that position is filled, that recruiter then moves on. So if you ever came across a recruiter where they'll tell you, okay, this person is your now POC, thank you, blase blase. They put you in touch with like PM, for example. That's because their job is now done. So from recruiters, you're not going to get a long-term investment in you as a candidate. And in a way, it does sucks because you've been communicating with that recruiter and you feel that you built up some rapport with them, and now it's like they just dropped you off. But their job is done. And so, from the company's perspective, they're expecting these recruiters to show up with a roster of top tier candidates. They're expecting these recruiters to understand industry specific roles. And this is where there's a disconnect because you can be talking with the recruiter, right? And you're going into details. Yeah, I did this and this, and you're going into details about specifics about what you do, and they're lost. They don't know what the heck you're talking about. So that's why you're not giving you that feedback that you're looking for regarding the specifics of the role that you're talking about. And basically the companies also they expect these recruiters to act like they're part of the company when in reality they're really not. But they do a really good job acting like they are a part of the company because most times people don't even know that these recruiters are just external recruiters. And that's where the system sort of starts to fall apart. Now, let's talk about one of the biggest issues. Recruiters often push the most sellable candidate, not the most qualified one. I'm gonna repeat that. Recruiters often push the most sellable candidate, not the most qualified one. Let me break this down with an example. You got candidate A who's got 10 years plus of experience, master's degree, industry certifications, took a year career break due to whatever reason, just unable to find a job, a caregiving, whatever reason you want to put there. But then you got candidate B who's only got 3 years of experience, no certifications, no degree, but has a perfectly linear work history and polished resume. Guess who's getting pushed to the hiring manager? Now, I want you to comment this down below who you think is getting pushed. So, candidate A, all this experience, the education, the certifications, only just a quick career break. And candidate B, just simply 3 years of experience, no certifications, no degree, but has a perfectly linear work history and a polished resume. Candidate B is going to get pushed. And let me tell you why. Because they're easier to place, they require less explanation, and 9 times out of 10, here's the big thing, they're going to accept that lower salary. They're going to accept that lower salary because they only have a few years of experience, and they know they don't have any certifications or degree. So they're going to quickly accept that lower salary because they're just happy to get the position. They're easier to place because you don't have to go through as much detail when going through the resume compared to somebody who has an extensive list of work history. And then there's less explanation regarding the career gap because now it's just clear. It's nothing to explain there. Compared to, again, with candidate A is going to expect and demand more, which you should, because you've been doing this for over a decade. You show how much you're dedicated to it by getting a degree to align with it. It's hard work. You've even got a certification. And some of these certifications are out here are so hard to get. Like the PMP is not an easy certification. So all this time and dedication that you put in, you deserve a higher salary. So you have that right to demand a higher salary. But from a recruiter's perspective, they're not looking at that. They're looking at getting paid, because the recruiter gets paid the quicker they can get somebody in there and then just move on. That's it. It happens all the time. You have to remember, recruiters are incentivized to close the deal, not necessarily to find the best fit for the role. I'm going to repeat that. Recruiters are incentivized to close the deal. That's it. Stop it right there. So if you don't look like a quick, clean hire on paper, even if you're the better long-term asset, you're getting skipped. Just let that sink in. So that resume is extremely important. Just take all this how you want to take it. Just let it sink in, like I said. Another big issue. Some of these recruiters they're just not qualified. No degree, no certification, just people dropped into a role because they can search on LinkedIn and run some keyword filters. And here's the irony. You got recruiters without degrees hiring candidates who are required to have degrees. Repeat this one too. You got recruiters without degrees hiring candidates who are required to have degrees. They're expected to evaluate professionals, talking about engineers, data scientists, healthcare workers, and so on, without truly understanding the industry or the language, which I just previously spoke about, that they use. So what this does, it creates a communication gap. And I saw it firsthand when I was a military recruiter. Nobody wanted to talk to the prospect with college degrees because they felt it would just be too much of a disconnect. They didn't know how to relate, so they would ignore those leads. So I took them all and turned them into solid recruits because I talked to them like people. And let's not forget how recruiters mishandle employment gaps. They see a 6 month or a year break and immediately just assume the worst. But here's what's often behind that gap. You gotta consider that gap could be because someone took time off to take care of their sick parents. They could took time off for recovering from burnout or mental health issues. Could be because they started a business that just unfortunately didn't work out, or even going back to school or reskilling. But if a recruiter doesn't understand that, or worse, doesn't ask, they'll disqualify you on the spot. It's lazy screening, that's what I call it. And it's costing great candidates real opportunities. Oh, and just to clear up a huge misconception, the recruiter is not the hiring manager. Again, the recruiter is not the hiring manager. And this is very interesting because I was talking to a veteran. He did 29 years, and he was like, "Man, I had no idea that the recruiter is not the hiring manager." It's like, yes. So they don't make the final decision. So even if you impress the recruiter, it doesn't mean that you're in. And if you don't impress them, you might never even get seen by the actual decision maker. I'll probably do a part two on that because there's a big difference and there's a lot of information involved in that. So yeah, if you're out here struggling to get interviews or offers, it's not just you. The system is flawed. And more than ever, who your recruiter is matters. Again, who your recruiter is matters a lot. Let me give you an example from my own experience. I landed a lead analyst role, even though I had never officially held the title of analyst before. What made the difference? A recruiter who looked deeper than just job titles. They saw that I'm a doctoral student with a 4.0 GPA, and that I finished my master's with a 4.0 GPA. So they understood that even though my background didn't check every box on the surface, my education and my work history involved analyzing complex situations, interpreting data, and making decisions that align closely with what analysts do every day. So that recruiter advocated for me and I got the role. So if there's one takeaway from this video, it's this. The recruiter you connect with can make or break your shot. Find someone who understands you, who asks the right questions, and who sees more than just buzzwords on a resume. If this video helped, hit that like button, share it with someone who's job hunting, and drop a comment if you want a part two about the difference between recruiters and hiring managers. Keep applying, stay sharp, don't settle for recruiters who don't get it. You're not just a resume, your whole story. Peace out.